Yes, ma'am.
She's next. My name's Linda Jacobo, and I live in Shelton. I have a question for you. Who's going to pay for that 21-year-old who bought the television set instead of an insurance plan when he decides to pay the penalty instead? When he goes to the emergency room, is he going to be mandated to sign up for Obamacare? Or are we still going to be paying for the people who are paying the penalty and not taking the insurance? My second part of the question is, the law is totally unfair as far as the subsidies go. Why is it that as a single individual buying health care insurance, or a family who makes up to $90,000 a year, but I choose to go with the insurance that I have already had before Obamacare, that I do not get a subsidy, an insurance subsidy. You can only get the subsidy if you sign up through the Obamacare exchange. That, to me, is not treating every American equally. So insurance is costing more for that individual who decides not to sign up through the Obamacare exchange. And as a result of all of this, there aren't enough young people signing up for the exchange. And you say, oh, women can't be charged more than men. Well, the fact is that men are being charged more now, equal to women, because they're having to pay for maternity benefits. And why do a 60-year-old woman have to pay for maternity benefits? Why does she have to pay for pediatric deaths? Which, that is crazy. When our insurance policies before Obamacare were being paid for, not subsidized. Now, why do we have to subsidize people who were paying for their insurances before? Taking money away from the taxpayer to pay it for someone who was paying their own way. That is ridiculous. And no wonder it's not going to succeed, because we can't afford it.
Did you, personally, it sounds like you kept a plan that was not a qualifying plan and therefore didn't qualify. Is that your situation?
I turned 65 and went on Medicare, but before that, I was 60 years old when I retired from my job. And I had to pay for my health care individual plan along with my husband, who was also only 60. For 5 years, we paid for our health care plan. And it was expensive and the rates went up, but we loved our coverage. It worked. We had a health savings account, which is now another thing we can't have on Medicare. You can't have a health savings account. So the deductible and the out-of-pocket expenses are going to be more. So we used our health savings account efficiently. That's the problem. We never had a problem making our insurance plans, and I just don't understand it. That now people have to pay for things that they're never going to use. We don't need addiction rehab. We don't need pediatric dentistry. It's like,
Thank you. So thank you for your comments, and I'm glad that you two are on Medicare and don't have to worry about this anymore.
oh yeah, but we're on an Advantage plan.
Yeah, so
that's going to be cut, and it's going to go up. So
we're paying for that. We're paying for the Medicare cost of the Advantage plan.
I understand, because I want to pay for it and I like the benefits, but those benefits are going to be reduced and the cost is going to go up.
But let's also be very clear what's happening with Medicare. Medicare is in financial trouble. People were objecting to the iPad and stuff. Medicare is in financial trouble mainly because our population is aging. And because, whereas we used to have a lot more people under the age of 65 paying into the system but not drawing out, now we have a lot more people over 65 and fewer people proportionately. So that's the main reason. And that's that's just a fact. And that has nothing to do with Democrats or Republicans or Obamacare. That's just an uncomfortable fact. By the way, the average family The average family in this country, over the course of their lifetime, will pay about $100,000 into the Medicare system and use about $300,000 in services. There's another reason why Medicare is having some problems. Now, Mrs. Galloway was saying rationing. This is a word that we're not supposed to use, we're not supposed to talk about. And I sometimes ask the question of a group of people, does anybody in the room really believe that healthcare, unlike every other product on the planet, whether it's water or oil or cars or education or clothing, that everybody's going to get everything they want always? Okay, if you don't believe that everybody's going to get everything that they want always, some decisions will be made, particularly either by insurance companies, they do this, or by the Medicare system to say what's smart. What's smart? We're all paying in, so what's smart in terms of what we pay out on? So, though we're all sort of horrified by the concept of rationing, and yes, we should be, it's going to get rationed one way or another. We used to ration before Obamacare, and look, Obamacare is only just starting, so we'll come back together next year and the year after and see how it has worked or not. It used to be that healthcare was rationed based on whether you had a job or not. If you had a job, you had employer-provided healthcare insurance. That was great. Huge tax benefits, by the way, associated with employer-provided healthcare insurance. Huge tax subsidies. We're just changing the system a little bit, so now that healthcare, again, decisions will be made about who gets what and who makes those decisions is a really interesting conversation. It should involve the patient, it should involve the doctor, it should be all of us who have a stake in the system. But none of us should kid ourselves that, unlike every other product and service in human history, everybody is always going to get what they want whenever they want it in that world. It's just a question of how we intelligently make those decisions. Yes, ma'am.